Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hard Nine podcast. Today is March 30th as we are approaching April Fool's Day. But you know what is not an April Fool's joke? The Cardinals are off to a 3-0 start and probably are going to go 162-0.
What a time to be a St. Louis sports fan. I can't remember the last time I was on a 2 week stretch of not Illinois basketball excluded, of not seeing one of my teams lose a game. Now that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
no
I'm on
kidding.
a high
Blues
right
are on a
now.
heater. Caleb's representing the Blues there. The Cardinals, though, what a great start for them. Now, I did text you that the Twins might be fucking terrible. However,
I don't think
we
they
don't
are.
know. We don't know. I think when they get Royce Lewis back, whatever. I'm a Rocco Baldelli fan. You and I got to see Byron Buxton when he was 19, and he was better than any minor leaguer I've ever seen in my life. So I have no. I like the Twins. I just think that lineup is not what it used to be. But to say
It's not
that,
bad.
I don't think the pitching's bad, and that's what has impressed me. Were the Cardinals' bats, if we want to be honest. Bailey Ober, highly thought of. Pablo Lopez, maybe on the downside of his 18. I don't know. Maybe he's playing the back
I
nine at
don't
this
think
point.
so.
But either way, Cardinals put together good at bats all weekend. That's the one thing I was incredibly excited about was the approach. It looked. I'm not going to ride Brant Brown's jock already, but it looked like a different approach at the plate, and it paid off.
Yeah, and there's hold on, let me find this tweet because I think this is important because like we've seen the Cardinals go through 3 game hot streaks, right? Like that happens in
Of
baseball.
course.
But so this is the first time since 2015 that the Cardinals in a home series, a 3 game home series, had at least 10 hits and scored at least 5 runs in every game.
Love to
Because
hear
we've seen
that.
this, right? We've seen the Cardinals do the thing where they have a game like they did in game 1 or today in game 3 where they went off. And then the next game, it's like, oh, why'd they score all their runs yesterday, right? Like how many times do we say that? Stop scoring today, score tomorrow some more. And they could get shut down by the Angels. I'm pretty sure they have Kyle Hendricks coming up this series, coming because he's of course with the Angels, so we'll face him. But regardless, like it looks different, and it could be a hot stretch, but. I think the more encouraging thing is the individual players that look different, more so than the collection. And obviously the collection looks better because those players look better. But we're gonna have to get to Nolan Arenado, and let's just go there first.
I was going to say, let's go
Because
ahead and start there. Yes.
Nolan had obviously a very weird offseason, and we've been very critical, me especially, of him on here. Mostly out of frustration. Like I've never once thought Nolan Arenado was a bad guy by any means. I've always thought he's probably a really good dude, but he has been very frustrating the last 2 years. There's a stat today, and I think I retweeted this, so let me try and find it. Because the thing that we were talking about, we see this with and this kind of reminds me of Paul Goldschmidt. His first year here, if you remember, he had the good year. He had like 30 something homers, but his bat looked slow. He wasn't hitting fastballs. And we were like, oh no, did we get Paul Goldschmidt at the wrong time? But he revised that the last couple of years. Um, it took Nolan 15 games last year to register 10 swings of a bat speed of 75 miles per hour or more. But they track bat speed now. He already has 12 in 3 games of 75 miles per hour and more. So small sample size, but he had 3 extra base hits this weekend.
He did.
Like,
And also, like we heard coming in, Nolan's bat speed looks different. Like he's working on that.
mhm.
And when you hear that, you're like, okay, okay. But then to see it actually put into practice, I mean, we said, what if? What if Nolan Arenado is really good this
Right.
year? Right? I mean, what if? And it does make a massive difference in the middle of that lineup when you have a veteran presence. We know Willie, and we can talk about Willie later. We know Willie got off to a tough start this weekend. Whatever.
Mhm.
He's eating bat tape, right? He's in it. He is
He
in
said,
his.
did you know he
He's in it.
swallowed it?
Yes, and he said it wasn't very good. He said it was terrible.
No.
However, Nolan, when you have a veteran presence in the middle, boy, it who is hitting, it really does take the pressure off of some of the young guys. Not that there's not pressure on every athlete. I don't mean that, but it
Mhm.
does. Like it allows you to kind of just do your job when the vets and everybody else is
Yeah.
doing their job. I was highly impressed. And I'll go on the record. I said they were going to go 1-2. I wasn't close. I told you I came in cautiously pessimistic. We'll get to the pitching later, but to see the at bats and I think Brad and oh my god, why am I having the brain fart? Chip
Chip.
talked about it today about how they just are grinding out at bats, and that's something honestly you haven't been able to say about the St. Louis Cardinals in probably a few years, maybe since their playoff run of 22, if we're going to be honest. So they
Yeah, they
did
had
look
some
like they're
stretches,
grinding up.
but yeah.
Right. And again, we all fully understand we're talking about 3 games. We understand all of that. However, we could have also gone 0-3 and looked like absolute dog crap. And then we're sitting here going, oh God, this is what we feared. I mean, we're not. Like, that's the great part is we're
Yeah.
talking about we're 3-0 start, where they also played really solid baseball. We can talk about the defense later, but they played great in
Yeah.
all 3 facets of the game, if you want to be honest.
Oh, I mean, even four if you want to like include like separate starting pitching and relief pitching. I thought they did everything really well this weekend. Um, No, one more thing about Nolan Arenado. That home run he hit off Griffin Jacks, who, by the way, if you're not familiar with Minnesota Twins relievers, they have one of the best bullpens in baseball, in my opinion. Coming into the year, they were projected probably a top five bullpen, and the Cardinals ate them alive this weekend. Like it did not go well for them. Like Yohan Duran is one of the most electric relievers in all of baseball, and they killed him. And but that 98-mile-per-hour fastball he hit a home run off in the eighth inning to give them some insurance. No way last year. He's not hitting a home run on that pitch last year. I'm sorry, he's just not. I don't even know. I'd be interested to go back and look. I can't imagine he hit more than 2 or 3 home runs last year on pitches above 95 miles per hour. I'd like to go
Yeah.
back and look at that. I could be wrong, but that's just a vibe check. And as a fan, I think we all do this. We have confidence in certain guys when they come to the plate. Like in 2022, when Goldie, Arenado, and Pujols were up at the plate, you're like they're doing something. Like you had confidence. Last year, I didn't have that even from game one. Watching the middle of the order now, like I have confidence in all three of the guys in the middle of the order. We can get to Wilson later because I think his 0 for 14 or whatever it was isn't exactly indicative of how he looked. He didn't look like he wasn't striking out every bat. He didn't look horrible. But that was a positive. And to go to the 3-0, yeah, it's 3 games. Okay. If anyone here comments that, oh, it's only 3 games, we've said it 10 times. Please don't comment. We know.
Right,
We
right.
can
We
count as
we
well.
everyone
Um,
knows.
we watched them. There's 3 games. But what we said the last 2 years, they dug themselves holes to when they went on that run in May last year where they were the best team in baseball for like a month. They just got them to like even, and
Right.
then you've used so much energy just to get back to even that another slide and you're done. So if you're the Cardinals now and you go on a hot stretch, one, it's going to give your young guys confidence and Nolan, a guy who struggled last year, and two, it gives you some cushion if you have a bad 2 week stretch to where you're not now 10 games under 500. So it's
I'll tell
big.
you what, I didn't get to watch all of the game today because I was flipping back between the basketball games, which weren't as great as I wanted them to be today.
No.
And then went up to the place next to our house and got a beer or got a couple cocktails. But Saturday, yesterday's game, while watching the at bat, there's a few of them. I thought, first of all, Herrera had multiple great at bats. We can talk about that later. So
He
did
looked
Victor
awesome.
Scott, but I think like really good quality at bats. They might not have ended up in the hits for every time, but he looks locked in.
I think he's 4 for 7 with a
But
walk to
the
start
at
the year.
bat where Newbar got the 99-mile-an-hour fastball and just hit a laser over the second baseman's head. That's what we have been sitting here saying we need Lars Newbar to do, is to turn around fastballs like that. Now, he didn't hit it out of the park. I don't care. That was a 2 RBI single that 99 miles an hour is 99 miles per hour. I know they can all hit it. I
Yep.
understand that. But that was a absolute laser into right center field. And to see
Third hardest hit ball of the day, by the way,
like that, Lars looks different. Like, we'll
in all
say
of
it.
baseball.
Yeah, right, right. Like that was one in the games that I watched, and I watched Thursday, Saturday, and then part of today. I didn't get to see all once the rain out happened, I kind of moved away, or the rain delay. But that was the most impressive swing of the weekend for me. I know we hit 5 home runs. I love all of that, but that swing alone, it was like, okay, that's the Lars we've been looking for.
And that's what he did in 2022. He is a fantastic fastball hitter. Like, don't throw
Yes.
the guy a high fastball. He's gonna crush it. So more so than that, his home run of Pablo Lopez was on a changeup on a 2-strike count. Like things like that, that it's like we know Pablo Lopez has one of the best changeups in baseball. He has since he was with the Marlins. And there were times last year where it seemed like they had no idea that that's what he threw. Like guys like him. And he was like, well, why are you looking for a fastball when it's obviously throwing a changeup? So that's when we talk about Brant Brown. Like, and he's a hitting coach. Like, we know this. But I mean, there was a picture that was going on Twitter yesterday of Brent Brown in between a pitching change, and there was not all 9 hitters were around him, looking at what he was talking about. Like, and the guy spoke highly of him. I almost think it's better. Like, he might not have that much of a real impact, but if the players think he's having an impact, that's just going to give them confidence. If they believe in what he's telling them, that's a good thing. Um, I had something. Oh, Herrera. Also great to see Pajes today. Like,
Yeah.
come up 3 for 4 with a homer. Like,
He's at
did you know?
2,300 OPS, 2,500. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Did you
That's
know the
pretty good.
Cardinals? So the Cardinals had 2 3-run homers today. Vic and we'll get to Vic in a second. Vic and Pedro. Did you know that they didn't have a single game last season where they hit 2 3-run home runs or 2 grand slams?
I
Not one game.
I did not know that, but that's fantastic.
I don't remember who it was. Was it who was the old really respected Hall of Fame Orioles manager? The one that would go crazy on umpires all the time.
Earl Weaver
Earl Weaver. He was like the 3-run home run
played
guy.
for the
Like,
three-run homer, correct?
yeah, he would put there's on base guys 1 and 2, and then he'd put like Eddie Murray
6 and 7, and they put him 6 and
yeah,
7.
and
Yes.
he was like, we need 3-run home runs, so they're batting behind guys that get on base. He was way ahead of his time on that. But it's just like those, and the game was over. Like Bailey Ober's a good starter, and I did see he was apparently really sick. I don't care. Like if you're that sick, then let Randy Dobnak pitch,
Right.
which he pitched the last 6 innings today, or 5 innings, I guess. But yeah, it was, I mean, there wasn't really any negatives for me. Like Mason Wynn is figuring it out. Give him time.
So's
You can
Willie.
allow Mason Wynn to figure it out if you have 8 other guys hitting, 7 other guys hitting.
That's what I was going to say. You know what's awesome is it's okay. Like we've said on here since we started this podcast. By the way, thank you all for listening. Had some great reviews. The subscriptions keep going up. If you're on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. If you're on your podcast, please hit that follow button. That's great for us, but it's also good for you to get the reminder as we are now putting out multiple episodes. We love to have you join. Keep the comments coming. We absolutely love them, especially the ones that really dog on Caleb. I love those, so keep those coming. But one thing I will say is, oh my God, now I completely just lost where I was going. Who are we talking about?
Don't know.
The brain started circling.
Mason Wynn.
There we go. So the cool thing is we've talked on here quite a bit about you only need 3 guys hitting, 4 guys hitting, whatever. So if you're Mason and Willie, like you're frustrated. I get it. But you're 3-0. If you're 0-3, that frustration now becomes panic sometimes. You know, everybody who's played the game knows that, no matter what level they played. If you're not contributing to teams that are losing and you're supposed to be, that's a nightmare. But if you're not contributing and everyone else is picking you up, you know that there's going to be days in the future. And I think I believe that. I'm going to speak for you here. I think most of us believe that Willie and Mason Wynn are going to be just fine over the course of 162 that are now going to pick up the other guys when they're struggling. And that just changes the entire mindset. And you could see it on the bench with Mason and Wilson the entire weekend. Like they were top of
bench, pumped up.
Knowing, okay, I'm not hitting right now, but all these guys are. Thank you. You know, that's the team. And I'll say this right now: it's 3 games. They could lose 3 to the Angels. I don't think they're gonna, but they could. But again,
Angels awful.
Todd Snyder once said, the great Todd Snyder, songwriter, once said, when you got nothing, it's almost like having it all. I think that's how this team feels, and that they believe that nobody expected anything of them. And they're playing with house money right now. And hey, I don't know how long it lasts, but the way the approach this weekend tells me I don't see why it changes too dramatically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I want to go back to the Lars Nootbaar bet because I had another thought and I just completely forgot. That at bat it was bases loaded, nobody out, and then Mason struck out, and I think Vic struck out. Though Vic and then Mason both struck out last year. Then you're not doing anything. Then, like, how many times do we see bases loaded, nobody out, and they strand 3 runners? Like, if you saw once Newt hit that single and scored 2, it was Nolan and Mason were sitting next to each other, and Mason looked like he was about to pop all the blood vessels in his head. Because that's a relief. You picked up your teammate. That's what you need to do. It's a lot easier to go into the cage before a game not blaming yourself for losses, just saying, I got to figure it out for myself, instead of going in there and saying, oh, I missed 2 opportunities with bases loaded yesterday, and that's why we lost the game. Like, there's a big difference. That's why we saw Nolan last year look like he was so defeated, because when he was going over, they were losing because he wasn't driving runs in. Like, there were at bats where if he just would have gotten a hit, they would have won the game. So if you want to get let's get to Vic, and then we can get to pitching, unless there's another hitter.
Okay, yeah. And also, last thing I'll say, if you're Mason and Willie, a good chance they might have taken the whole crew to Charlie Gito's tonight for dinner and said, it's on us. Like, it's on us.
Yeah.
We got it. And I hope that they did that.
Yeah.
The group, Again, it goes back to the old adage: Are you having fun because you're winning, or do you win because you're having fun? I understand that, but for the first weekend, I was pleased as punch. If you want to be honest, to see the way that they played baseball this weekend,
Yeah, and also Wilson looked good today. Like he hit 3 line
he
drives
did.
right at it. Yeah, I think he hit 2 balls over 105 miles per hour today. Like he didn't look like we've seen Wilson when he's struggling. It's sorry, it's ugly. He's swinging
You
at
get choked up. You
sliders.
get choked up over there.
Yeah, he's swinging at sliders. They're like bouncing in other batter spots when he's not right. He wasn't doing
Yep.
that today. He'll figure it out. Balls will start falling. He's one of the best hitters in baseball, in my opinion. Let's get to Vic because I think we all were talking about this spring and seeing like gonna see if it carries over, right? We knew he was jumping fastballs early in spring because he's smart and he knows that he can hit fastballs, and if you jump on him, you're gonna get good results.
By
That
the
home run he
way,
hit
us
today,
add to what you just said, especially in the 8 slot, where you're gonna get a lot of fastballs.
yeah, that home run he hit today, um, was one of the best swings he's taken in his career. But I'm not even gonna get to that. Like that's obviously impressive. We love to see his power coming along, and we saw that in spring. Nice to see it carry over. But his at bats yesterday and on Saturday, I don't know. I think I'm releasing this tomorrow, so 2 days ago for you guys watching. Were the best at bats he's taken in the big leagues. Not even close. He had 2 at bats that went 8+ pitches. One of them he ended up striking out on, whatever, and one of them he had a single on. But they panned over in the second time he did that, and they panned over to Ollie, and Ollie was like smiling like he was a proud dad. He was like, "Yeah, this is what we thought he could do." And then today, he should have 2 hits today. Pedro Pajes, he had a laser beam, Victor did, to the outfield, and Pedro got thrown out at second base. It's the
I
worst thing in
saw
the
that.
world. And did you Vic when Pedro walked by him? Vic said something to him, like it was clearly a joke. He was probably like, "What did you just do to me? Like you took away a big league hit from me because you can't run." But that was funny. He looks great. Also his defense looks fantastic in the outfield. And one of our concerns was that Michael Ciani was going to replace him in center field and move him to the right field. I don't like that, but it's hard to say it hasn't worked. The play Michael Ciani made in the ninth inning yesterday was crazy. So it's working. I don't love it, but it has worked so far.
The play that Vic made on opening day also, and I don't watch a lot of MLB TV anymore. Love the DeRosa show, whatever it. I don't even know what it's called. That's really the only show I watch on there. But I was watching that, and he and Chris Young were on there, and Chris Young was talking about Victor Scott, how a lot of guys will dive for that ball, and it looks like a
Yeah.
great catch, and it is. He's not discounting it. He's like, but that catch is better because he still had more in the tank. Like he could have kept going. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, everybody loves the layout there, but he's like, that catch right there is even better because he could have taken 2 more steps, it looked like, in full stride. So yeah, the beginning of the defense, we saw Newt with a diving play. We saw Donnie with a hell of a play at second to turn a double play. I think that was on
Great play today,
Thursday.
too.
Yeah, I mean that was nice to see. I mean, I think it's also fair to talk to Noah Gorman. Nice to see him and Pies get in there today, but I see Gorman. I mean, have a 3-hit day and go yard. I It's going to be. We talked about the way that the puzzle pieces can fit for Ali and how he does have some flexibility and how
It's going to be
maybe we
hard.
kind of thought there might be an injury that would work things out. I don't know if you. I mean, Burley swinging the bat well. Like again, we continue
Really
to preface
crushed
it.
that double today.
Yes,
My
I thought it was
God.
out. I thought it was out when he hit it,
I think he did
but
too.
I think he almost got too much top spin on it. But
he hit it so hard. It just
yeah, right
like
now you
it's gonna
can't. There's not much to complain about.
Here's what I will say about the Burley Nolan Gorman thing, because one, great to see Gorman. Like you don't know what that's going to do to a young guy to be promised a spot basically, and then not get it for the first 2 games, and then come in game 3 and just be like, oh, what I do is hit. I'm a professional hitter, and have 3 hits and that homer off of Dobnak, which was maybe the worst pitch I've ever seen thrown, just a slider right down the middle. He crushed it. So kudos to him. And here's what I will say about that, because it's going to be a conversation. It's better to have 10 guys you like than 9, right?
Yeah,
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 like I don't like Jordan Walker hit in the hand yesterday. I think that probably played a part in why he was the guy that sat today. I
I
got a
think so
feeling coming into
too.
the day that Gorman was gonna play no matter what. Like it's a Sunday, you should get him in there. Maybe it would have been Burley if Walker didn't get in the hand. Like if he's feeling that a little bit, then don't play. You have the luxury of saying Walker, we'll give you another day because we can have Nolan Gorman in our lineup tomorrow. I don't know if
Yep,
they're facing a lefty tomorrow or not,
they
but
are Tyler
regardless.
Anderson tomorrow.
Okay, then you probably don't want to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
two
but
is
tomorrow I
Kikuchi a lefty?
yes.
That's what I thought. 2 lefties this series. That's what I thought.
Okay, so I'd like to see Luke. One of the things I'd like to see Luke and Baker play both
Yes,
games
we agree.
because he didn't get in that bat this week. He had one of the probably the best spring of any hitter outside of Vic on the team. Um, so I hope he's DHing both games. I'd imagine he will be. I don't know
You
why he
same.
wouldn't. Just because there's no reason to force Burley into those games. Like there just isn't. You can have him off the bench late. That's a weapon you'd probably like to be able to utilize at your will. Um, so I hope Baker gets his at bats. That was really the only thing I didn't love because they let Burley take an at bat yesterday when the game was not wrapped up, but they had a pretty comfortable lead against a lefty. And I was like, that would have been a good spot to just give Baker an at
Yeah, I
bat.
didn't quite understand that. That was a weird move. I thought for sure
It was
Baker was
pro
going to hit there.
like it would have worked out really well and we would have understood it more. Like say the Twins come back and then Burley gets in the batting as a righty in the ninth. Like that's probably why he did it to just keep that option open. Because then if they bring a lefty, then you can bring in Baker.
Yeah.
But another thing, yesterday, and this happened twice this series. We talked about Nolan adding insurance. It was fantastic to see them up 3 runs and then score another run in the eighth inning. So Ryan Helsley didn't have to throw in that game.
Yep.
Things like that. That's how you keep Ryan Helsley healthy. You add on to leads. You don't make him come in every time you have a 2 or 3 run lead. Go get more and let Phil Maton, who looked great. We didn't know what he was going to look like. Go let him finish the game. Like let Helsley take another day off.
Yeah, opening day we went to a bar, local bar here in New Orleans called 45 Chop. It's one of my favorite bars in the city.
Same.
Shout out to them, by the way. Debbie, the owner, is amazing. The only problem is they're big Red Sox fans, but they are awesome. So we went there and it was really cool. Like we ended up
The
meeting
one in
some other
three Red
Cardinals
Sox.
fans. We met some other Cardinals fans, one from Memphis, who actually we saw there last year, and then we met a guy and his mom who were there. And I was like, they were all in Cardinals gear, and I said, "Oh, are you guys from the Midwest?" They were from down here. Have lived here their entire lives, but became Cardinal fans because of KMOX at night. That's the only they could pick it up, so they listen to KMOX. Like that shows the reach of the St. Louis Cardinals. So it's really fun. We actually ended up hanging out with all of them watching the game. So it's kind of cool to get to see that down here in New Orleans. It's cool to see a baseball buzz.
Yeah, I mean, opening day is just great. Like it's awesome. You get to watch the Yankees beat the Brewers early, which was awesome, and there was a rain delay, which kind of sucked for the Cardinals. But you want to get to the pitching now because I think there
Yeah,
was a
I
lot of
think so.
positives there. Let's
Yep,
get to Sonny
agreed.
Gray because we didn't know what to expect out of him. One mistake, he gave it 5 and 5, 200 runs in 5 innings, which is not obviously like an eye-popping line. I thought he looked better than that. Um, I wish someone would have told him that the only pitch Harrison Bader would have hit a home run on against him is a hanging slider because that's all
Correct.
the guy ever did for us was hit hanging sliders for homers. Which honestly kind of cool that Bader. If someone's gonna do it, let it be Bader.
Can
Um,
I hold on? Can I say that I didn't even realize he was on the Twins, let alone going to play left field for them? I had no idea.
he'll play center field in a couple weeks when Byron Buxton's on the IL. I love Byron Buxton. I hope that doesn't happen, but I
Right.
mean, it's just what it
I
is.
don't like you putting that
Um,
out there.
Royce Lewis is already hurt. That poor fan base, man, they
Always.
just can't catch a
There
break.
were some Twins
Um,
fans with us, and they were like, "It doesn't matter. Royce is hurt, and he's gonna come back, and then Byron will be hurt. It doesn't matter." So they
and
kind
then
of get
Royce
it
is gonna
too.
get hurt again.
Right.
I love Royce Lewis, by the way. He's so good. But I thought Sonny looked really good. His velo was up to 93 on some pitches, which
That was the
isn't
key.
where you want it to be. Like he can get to 94. He's not a guy that sits 94, 95. I don't know where that narrative's coming from. Like people are like, why is he not throwing 90? He didn't do that last year. He sits around 92 and a half and can get up to 93, 94 when he has it. So it was positive to see. His slider looked really good. Also, just his awareness that he doesn't have the velo he normally has. So he's just gonna throw his best pitch, which is his sweeper. Um,
Yep.
so I thought that was really positive. And then Fetty looked great. I thought Fetty looked awesome yesterday. Like probably the best performance out of anyone. Um,
I
and that's
agree.
huge to see. Because like he's the
Yep.
guy that we're all a little bit I want to say weary of because he had a great season with the White Sox, was a little bit worse, still solid for the Cardinals last year, but you just don't know what to expect out of him. That's a really big first step for him.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And then I thought Palante was fine today. I mean,
Really
he
good.
didn't, I thought he looked good. And so, and the
Throwing
bullpen has done its
98.
job. Yeah, I saw that. And then the
Like
bullpen has done its job. So I mean, so far so good.
my take is this bullpen's disgusting. I think it's legitimately disgusting. Like you have Chris Roycroft's gonna be their setup man. That's my
It,
hot take.
it
He's
appears that could be
gross.
true.
Like he is like apparently on Thursday, Ryan Fernandez just wasn't available. He had some kind of um tweak in the catch or something. He pitched on Saturday, so he's fine. But to be able to have a guy like Leahy, who wasn't great, but still he's whatever. But to have Roycroft, Maton, Fernandez, JoJo, and Helsley, those are all five guys that could be eighth inning guys for you. And except for Helsley, who's obviously a closer, but those are all potential seventh, eighth inning guys. Um, and like Steven Matz was awesome today out of the bullpen.
He was.
He first big league save today because he threw 5 innings or four
Yeah, I
innings.
saw for sure the first inning he came in, he was going to get hit on that line drive up the middle, and he'd be out for 6 weeks. But he wasn't. He got out of the way. Shout out to him. And Donnie made a nice play at second base. So that was nice to see.
It's just nice to have a positive episode early in the season. I don't remember the last time this happened.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's not much else to really talk about as far as
Were there
all
any
those
negatives? Like,
no, not that I mean, your negatives are Mason Wynn and Willie didn't have a great series, but you're
yeah, but
3-0.
that's like
So what are you mad about? Like that's baseball.
right. If your negatives are two hitters having one bad series and you're doing okay.
I will say, can I tell you probably the one negative, and it's not necessarily related to the play of the players, is there was no one at that game today. Now, I know there was a St. Louis City game. Understand that.
Also,
I
tornado
also know
watch.
that there was going to be weather, but that was weird to see for a Sunday. But it is March, so we do understand all of that. But that was a kind of an odd thing to see.
Yeah,
and I don't
here's
love
my
it.
hope. I'm never gonna tell fans how to spend their money. If they don't want to go, then they don't want to go. That's fine. But my hope is this team continues to play like this because St. Louis will respond to the players if they're playing well. They might not like Bill DeWitt, and we saw that opening day. They don't. I was happy Mo didn't get booed as much because he deserves some cheers in his last opening day. Like, let's be honest. If you're a reasonable fan, he deserves some praise for what he's done here. I get the last 5 years have been rough, maybe even 10 if you want to say that, but he still has done a lot for this organization. I'm hoping if this team continues to play, like they're not going to obviously go 50-0. Like that's not going to happen. But if they continue to play this brand of baseball, that's exciting. They're running more. They're playing great defense. They've got guys with power, but they're not relying on it, which was nice to see. How many times have we been just waiting for one person to have a big swing?
Yeah.
Like they're not doing that. Then I hope fans respond to it and come back to the stadium. I just bought tickets. So I'm going back. One of Grace's friends has a baby shower. And I'm going back in April, early April. And I just bought my Phillies tickets today because I think they're going to start going up because I think people are going to start coming. This is a fun brand of baseball to go watch right now.
It is, and I really do hope it continues. Like I don't see why it won't. I'm just saying it does feel like there's a little different feel. I'm not predicting something down the road. I'm just saying right now, it does feel like there's a little different feel to their approach at the plate. And it also, like you said, and we talked about on here, with 2 outs or even with 1 out, it just feels like, oh, maybe somebody's going to actually get a hit. Last year, it did not. You got 2 guys on, like, well, we're not going to score no matter who comes up.
Yeah, was Turner Ward a Cubs fan when he was growing up?
Maybe. I saw somebody post Turner Ward as the devil.
I know. What's not fair to him, but also
no, not at all. Not at all.
One more thing on Arenado, and then we can get to the next series, which is coming up. I loved the curtain call. Like that almost made me emotional. That made me so. It reminded me a lot of 2021, his first game in St. Louis where he hit the home run. Like I think that meant a lot to him. Like Nolan's not one of the guys that tries to hide when things mean something to him. Like he even said as much. It meant a lot to him and his family that he had that moment. I think it fired him up. Like he got a lot of cheers coming off the truck as we expected. He should. He's a Hall of Famer on your team. And that home run to have that current, like it literally was almost the exact same thing that happened in 2021 when he hit the homer of Corbin Burns. That was cool. And Wilson Contreras got screwed coming off the truck because the PA mic went out. So I think he would have gotten probably the biggest ovation of the day, maybe because of everything he said about staying here. And he just didn't get the chance because the mic cut out, which fantastic. And Harrison Bader ended up getting like the biggest ovation of the day, which is also classic because that was not the case when he played here.
No. So. Well, there was quite a faction of
people loved him.
Loved Harrison Bader. Yes. I'm not saying I didn't. I'm just saying.
I liked him a lot. He was, mostly women really liked him.
The one guy we didn't talk about, but off to a good start was Jordan Walker. Like I thought he looked better at the plate. I think that's one guy that deserves a little praise there. Obviously, hopefully everything's okay. We have not heard in the otherwise, so I would assume he's okay. And today was just a cautionary day off. My guess is he's right back in the lineup tomorrow against the lefty. But I thought he took really quality at bats the first 2 games.
And just a note on that, I know I'm getting like the nerdy stuff here. His swing was faster, he already has one of the fastest swings in baseball in terms of bat speed, and it was shorter. And like that, those are things Brant Brown when in the offseason he worked with Jordan a lot, and he told him to put his hands closer to him because he watched film from 2023 when he was good and said, "This is what you were doing. Why did you change?" I wonder if Turner Ward had access to the 2023 footage. I guess not. That guy,
We
man.
did not expect to bury Turner Ward, by the way. I
I
don't like
did.
what you're.
I
Well,
fully did.
you came on
He
here with
didn't.
the intent to bury him. Okay.
I don't think he did one positive thing as a Cardinals coach. Everyone got worse under
Okay.
that
Can we
coach.
move on? This has been a positive episode. I don't like where you're
I
trying to
still
go. You're trying to
positive.
drag it down.
We have a guy that knows, you know, that knows what hitting is, and before we had a guy that said hit gooder, so that's great.
Remember when we said we have no fucking idea who Brent Brown is?
I knew he was the head coach for Skip Schumacher, but that was it. I
Obviously,
mean, that
when
head
I
coach
say we
stuff.
don't know who he is, I don't mean that literally, but we kind of did say that.
I will say he kind of looks like a vampire.
He
He
does.
doesn't have any hair, and his ears are kind of pointy. So maybe he scares the other team.
Could be. Could
No,
be.
I also
Now,
like
so
he seems to be very active too. He's like right next to Ollie the entire time, which I
yes.
like.
So we got the Angels coming in. The Halos are coming into town. Tyler Anderson versus Michaelis. I think it is
Yeah.
Hendricks versus Libby, and then
Yep.
Kikuchi versus Sonny Gray. I think that is the
You are
three
correct.
matchups that we have
Yeah.
here.
You are correct.
I I saw that one of the guys that I'd never heard of for the Angels threw a really good game. I do know that they lost to the White Sox because there were White Sox fans at the bar I was at, and they were, you would have thought they won the World Series by winning the first game of the year. So I was pretty fired up for them. Anything to look at here, it's going to be cool for the St. Louis fans to see Mike Trout. That's pretty awesome. They obviously
Yes.
will not see Anthony Rendon, nor
No,
will anyone maybe ever again.
gosh, that guy. There's that guy is I can't imagine him being on my baseball team. Here's what I will say. The Angels went 2-1 this weekend against maybe the worst team ever constructed. I didn't even know who their starter was. Their opening day starter was. They won both games by a resounding 1 run. This Angel team is utter garbage. Like legitimately one of the worst team. Also very bad. They have a couple guys that can beat you. Mike Trout, obviously, who we love, and the guy that hit him in the hand on the first at bat of the year. Shame on you. Why would you do that to him? Jorge Soler, don't throw him any. Don't hang him a slider, please. And that's it. So
Jared Walsh still on that team?
no, they have that Shanwell guy who like bats 250 in all singles. So
and they have Joe Adell, who every once in a while will run into a ball.
Yes.
And
yes,
probably the fence. Either. He'll also probably run into the wall.
Yeah, and he'll hit the ball over the fence so the other team gets a home run.
Correct. Yeah. So
don't lose a game to this team.
I agree, but I'm still going to say they win 2 just because I can never pick a sweep. But yeah, they should not. The problem is 2 lefties. You just never know with Tyler Anderson and Kikuchi. I mean, we are obviously left-handed dominant with our power there. You've got no. I hope Lucan has a good week or a good 3-game series. That would be great for him. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. They take 2 or 3. That's what I'll say.
I'll be interested to see if they consider. Seeing how Paz hit today, if they consider a game where they it'd be hard to do because of Wilson. Like maybe you give Wilson a day off and you use both your catchers because you do have like one of the best emergency catchers in the history of baseball now.
Potentially that Wednesday getaway day, right? Because you head to Boston next, I think. It's like that could be the day where you could give Wilson the day off and you could use both of your catchers and then you could have Lucan play first. Like that is a possibility. I'm not saying they'll do that, but that is obviously a possibility.
Also, one other thing, I hope they lead off Newt against lefties. Let's see what it looks like. Like
leave him there. I agree.
Yeah, don't move him. I don't move Donnie out of the 3-hole. I'm keeping him there too because he looked really good in the 3-hole. We didn't talk about him. He had a good series as well. Leave those guys there. Those guys aren't splitty. They're good against both sides. Leave them there. I'd like to see my key to this weekend is seeing if Nolan Arenado. Not weekend series. Seeing if Nolan Arenado can start hitting lefties again. He's been like weirdly horrible against lefties the last 2 years. That's not who he has ever been in his career. Maybe the bat speed coming up will allow him to get out in front of some of the inside fastballs that lefties like to throw to right-handed hitters. I'd like to see him have a good series against the left-handed starters because last year he was just really bad against lefties, and it doesn't make any sense.
I also have a feeling that we could see Mason and Willie get hot this series. I really, truly do.
Yeah, I'd like that a lot. I think Wilson's going to be Wilson. I wouldn't surprise me if he has a really good series. Mason looks a little bit off. Like he's just his swing long is weird.
I might be inclined to give Nato the day off on Tuesday against Kyle Hendricks and play Gorman at third like potentially just to give him a day off there and then get him back. Because I mean, you saw yet today there were a lot of the
I
normals
wouldn't.
across the league out. I mean, maybe just against. I don't know what his numbers against Kyle Hendricks are, but
Well, he's a Cardinal, so bad.
right,
They have an off day on Thursday, so I'd be surprised if they do that. Um,
give him a day off
what you
on
could do
Tuesday. I don't know.
If Wilson struggles again tomorrow, then that could be where you just put Burley at first and have Gorman DH that game. Like they have
Yeah,
a lot of
could
options.
be.
Like the good thing about this team is if there's an injury to basically anyone besides Mason, and maybe even Mason if Donovan can play short for like a week or two, if it was like just a little nagging thing, is they're so versatile with guys like Donovan, Gorman who can play different positions, Burley who can play outfield and first base. That basically any injury that happens, you can put Gorman in the lineup now. Like you can
Yeah.
figure that out. You can maneuver in that way. So it's not like, oh, they need specific guys to stay healthy because no one can go there, and then you're playing, Taylor Motter. They don't have that this year. So they have
Yep.
the flexibility to where basically if anyone gets hurt, Gorman slides right in, or Baker against lefties, whoever. So that's a positive. My prediction is I think they sweep. Um,
Okay.
the one game I would be wary of is one, I don't know what Michaelis is going to look like. So I guess it's more than one game. Michaelis could give up 6 in 2 innings and we lose. That's possible. But maybe he'll look good. I don't know. Libby, we don't really know. We're hopeful, don't really know. But Kikuchi's tough, and that's going to be a getaway day for them. So that wouldn't surprise me if that's a game where they kind of don't phone it in, but don't play very
He
well.
lost to the White Sox game 1, so just so we know.
Yeah, but I think he gave up 2 runs. Like, I think is what
He
it
has a
was.
4.5 ERA, so I would assume that he
Yeah.
probably
So,
did he only go 3 innings?
well,
Four innings?
if you gave up 2, it would be 4 if you gave up 2.
4 innings.
But
He
probably
might
that's
have.
probably
He
what it
might
was.
have.
I
Yeah.
mean, could have given
That's
up
one
3
thing
and
we need
6.
to
I don't
talk
know.
about later is no one's going 6 innings anymore, it feels like.
So that to Eric Fetty.
Well, that is true. There are a handful, but not a lot. It seems like a lot of 5 1/3, 5 2/3 out
It's
there.
opening. Oh, this
Yeah, I
happens
get
all the
it.
time at the beginning of the year.
I get it. All right.
Um,
Anything else you need to get to on the Cardinals
who?
before we get out of here?
Yeah, who's your hitter to watch for the? Who's your pick
I
to
mean, I'm gonna
click?
say Wilson. I'm gonna say Wilson. I just think that this could be a series for him to get going.
Mine's gonna be Nolan. I think he's got. Because remember in 2022, he won Player of the Month in April. Like he's prone to have hot starts. So I'm hoping in 2023 even he was an All Star because he had a good first half. So I think he's gonna just have a really good first month, and
Yeah, I would
we're
love
all
to
gonna
see
be
it. I mean, keep it
singing
coming.
the MVP praises.
Keep
So
it. Keep it.
nice to have,
Well,
nice to have a positive episode. It really is. Like
yeah.
the
Well, it's
off
nice to
season
have
kind of
baseball back.
sucked. Yeah,
Nice to
besides
have
that good
actual
baseball back in
meaningful
St.
baseball
Louis.
back. Yes. All right. So just so everybody knows, we will be back this week with our first Major League Baseball episode. At some point, we haven't decided exactly. Well, I don't think we need to break down just the first 3 games, so we'll probably give that one till the end of the week, and then we'll also be back with our other regular episode after the Angel series. Correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And did you see the torpedo bats?
Yeah, I want to talk about those on our MLB episode. Yes.
Also, is Aaron Judge Barry Bonds the second? That's the last thing I thought.
Potentially. So Tyler O'Neill, we can talk about him. The torpedo bats are interesting. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about when we get to our Major League Baseball around the. I would love to call it This Week in Baseball, but I do think that's copyrighted. And shout out to Mel Allen, one of my childhood idols. I don't think we can go there, but Twib Notes is a pretty good name.
What? Twib notes?
This Week in Baseball Notes. You did not grow up with Mel Allen like I did, so
Yeah, well, we can be more creative than stealing someone else's IP, I think.
why come up with something? Why say more words or
Last
whatever
week in
Kevin said?
baseball.
Right. Wib notes, but no, we'll be back with that. Hey, for those of you that are in town, I know obviously school is still going on for some. I'm sure that there are some maybe on spring break this week. Get out to the ball yard. I don't know what the weather looks like up there in the 314 and the 618, but if you got time, get out to the old ball yard, support the Birdnals, and have an amazing week. Go Cards.